Okay, on the bull pattern, the chest being thicker and the shoulders and haunches being heavier, the pilot hole to separate the legs has to be lower down than the pilot hole for the back. The pilot hole for the back should only go in about 1 3/4 or you'll start digging into the chest area. The pilot hole for the front can go as deep as you want, but it should at least get as deep as the back pilot hole so that you can pull that piece out separately. I'll show you that later. Now, out here on the West Coast, primary construction lumber that I use on these 2x4s is Doug fir. And Doug fir has alternated very hard and then soft rings, which will throw off a drill bit and pull it one way or the other, whether you like it or not, and cause your hole to be a little off center, which it happens no matter what I do. But I slow it down a little bit with a Dremel tool using this, and I try to cut through the hard lines and keep it as centered as possible to help guide the drill bit down. So on the back one, I don't want to go past 1 3/4. So I have a black Sharpie line right here on both sides. I can still see it when the bit's turning. And I don't go any further than that for the back drill line. Okay, I'm using a Timberwolf bandsaw blade, 3/16 width, 10 TPI, 0.025 thickness, RK series, with a Carter stabilizer. When you're clearing out this section of waste wood in here for separating the legs, you want to only do it from the top down, because if you do it from the back pattern, you'll get too deep and you'll cut into your chest area. So you want to go from this and only to the depth of the hole. And when I'm doing this, a lot of times this blade, because this wood likes to close up because of the grain patterns, will catch the blade. So I try to work it a little bit, and you'll see that. I'll try to work it in and out a little bit till I can get in there enough so that I'm not getting the blade pinched, because I don't want to sit there and try to separate it on the inside because of the offset difference in the holes. So let me give it a shot here and see if we can do this without screwing it up too bad. Watch your fingers. See right there, wanted to capture that, wanted to pinch that blade a little bit right there. Now, when I'm cutting this one, it's not an issue because this gives enough flexibility that it won't pinch the blade. Okay, I use packing tape to put both sides back on so then I can finish cutting out the side pattern. Now, there's still, between this back spot, you can either cut that out with a knife or a chisel. I use the Dremel with a little wood saw blade on it to clear that out, and that works pretty good. And then to do the horns, you have to be careful. You want to make sure that everything's down. You don't want anything, you don't want this up at all where the blade will grab it and shove it into there. Shove it into the table. And what I do is I just kind of work it out, and then I finish out the rest with the Dremel bit that I showed you earlier on how I pilot hold the leg thing. So anyway, you don't want to get into the head. Now watch me do that after I say so. Watch your fingers. And I just work it back and forth like this. Now I use the Dremel tool, and I will round these out a little bit, but you don't want to get them too thin because they'll break on you. Okay, here are 16 finished bowls I cut from my template or pattern. Let me zoom in here a little bit. I have finished these with a combination spindle sander and a bandsaw I turned into a belt sander, 14-inch. And I have finished the horns with the Dremel bit I showed you earlier. It's an aftermarket bit. I'll leave a link to it. I have no affiliation with it, but they work good for me, so I'll show you where they're at. I'll leave a link on Amazon. And the only one I gouged the bottom on was this one. The rest are fine. And I just wasn't paying attention to the depth of the drill from the back side. You're only supposed to go in from the end of the 2x4, 1 3/4, so you don't do that. And other than that, all the rest of them are fine, and most people aren't going to notice that unless they pick it up and look anyway, which you know kids will. Anyway, that's what they look like all finished and sanded up and all that good stuff. And hope you enjoy it if you try it.